Women cheat more than men?
Far more.
Come on.
Far, far more.
Why do you think women cheat more than men?
Because they're in denial about the infidelity. When they cheat, they don't even label it as that. If a woman starts cheating,
What do they label it as?
They label it as my husband's no longer satisfying me. They won't even say I'm cheating. They'll say my husband isn't satisfied. They find a way to redirect and shift the terminology so that they are void of guilt.
Really?
Absolutely.
Women cheat just as much as men. They're just better at it. And if anything, they do a lot more micro-cheating. What I mean by this is one of the things that women can do that men can't is on a daily basis, they can plant seeds for cheating without realizing. So if she just posts a beautiful picture, guys can comment and she can say, thank you, da, 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 and that tiny thing is happening on a daily basis. Whereas for men, they can't shoot their shot with that many girls and get a reply every day. So we're living in a time where if you wanted to be a female cheat, it'd be the easiest time to be that way.
The number one reason women cheat is having a people-pleaser husband. And I'll tell you why. Because what will happen is the women will do inappropriate things to test their partner. They want to know where his line is, and this is an unconscious thing. And when they feel like he totally rolls over, there is no boundary left. This is what happens with men that don't get cheated on. If I say to my husband, oh, my ex texted me, he's like, change your number. You're changing your number today. I might say, I'm not like this, but some women might say, no, that's too toxic. He said, well, something has to happen because I'm not comfortable with this experience, and I hope you're not comfortable with me talking to my ex. And they draw the barrier there. Now, some women will say you're too toxic and leave. That woman is somebody who's probably got plans to be unfaithful. But the right woman would be like, yeah, fair enough, I don't really care about him anyway. Block, delete, whatever it is. That man, it's harder for him to get cheated on. But the man that says, oh, really? How is he? And he's like, oh, no, he wants to meet up on Wednesday. What are you going to do? I think I might see him. Okay, what do you think? What time do you think you'll be back? I don't know, I'll see how it goes. That guy's setting himself up.
Women cheat because they're emotionally dissatisfied. And the dissatisfaction precedes the attraction, the looking outward, and the acting on that. I do think that there is differences. I think that men care a lot more about sexual fidelity, and women seem to care more about emotional fidelity.
Like maybe it's the clients that I work with, but men just fool themselves. They will just say to themselves, I don't think she actually slept with him, or I know she was talking to him, but I don't think anything happened, or I know she went to the hotel with him, but I don't think anything happened. They find a way to lie to themselves long enough to believe she was sexually faithful to them. They will have a woman that hasn't touched them in 2 years, figured out that she was talking to an ex, and say, I don't think anything happened. It's that level of delusion that makes them so unattractive and makes them so unappealing to a woman that they can't get loyalty out of her again. But I do always say, men, there's two types of men. There are some men that are so loyal to their wife. It doesn't matter, ups and downs, like whether she gains weight, loses weight, treats him well, treats him badly, they're loyal to their wife. There's other men that are just loyal to the woman they fell in love with. If she stays the same, if she gives him the same sexual pleasure, she looks the same, she acts the same, he'll be loyal to her. The moment she deviates, he's disloyal. Other men are just loyal regardless because they are just loyal to the woman. So you have to decide or realize which one your man is.
Well, I think in general it's a good idea for both men and women to continue to be and do the things that was attractive enough to the other person to initiate the relationship to begin with. And you sabotage the foundation of the relationship by deviating from those things too significantly. I think that's good for both men and women.
But they go in with this naivety when they're dating that no girl would. And the other thing men do is because they've selected a woman, they want to justify their selection. So they assume she's a great girl. They assume she's a good girl simply because they've selected her, not because she's earned any of those values. So what happens is they ignore a lot of the behaviors that predict cheating. And the behaviors that predict cheating are so easy to see, but they avoid those and they just focus on what they like. Because particularly if they're sexually satisfied, they will literally avoid all the evidence. So how they get cheated on is they go into it with a naivety. Now, men who have been with lots of women will tell you that women are no more innocent than men are. They've been on the receiving end when they've been in bed with a girl and she's called her boyfriend and said, oh, I'm just going to be home. They've seen that side of women. Some men have never seen that side of women. So they just think that doesn't exist. So what happens is they go in with a little bit of naivety and they literally take words over behaviors. As soon as a woman says, oh no, I don't do this, or I'm a traditional woman, they won't look at it. They'll say, well, she's a traditional woman, but she's been on a private jet recently, or she's gone on holiday and she didn't tell me who she's going with, or she's always in the club and she doesn't tag me or any. They don't connect the dots. They simply go by what she says rather than what she does.
It is a common, yet shocking practice to hear that men are cheated on more than women, but do you ever wonder why? SADIA KHAN has a rather interesting perspective to this. She is convinced that men, after making their choice, rather look for ways to substantiate this choice than to make sure that the lady's behavior is deserving of commitment. Have you ever found yourself overlooking issues because you are okay with what you are getting between the sheets? It is like men are deaf and blind to any signs which are outright pointing to the fact that something is wrong. It is very surprising to see how quickly they agree with titles that women invent for themselves. The question that rises here, however, is how do they behave? Many men, especially those who have been with many women, know better not to presume that all women are innocent or are saints. The public has woken up and has been able to discern between the creation of a good image and the reality within. But most men, they fall into the trap, passing by contradictions that would let them know the truth. To be completely candid, men have to be smarter about this. Do you agree? What's been your experience? Thanks for watching. I would appreciate it if you could share your comments below. See you soon!